Which stocks could be the winners from the next phase of the AI revolution? Coming up, we'll hear from a market pro about stocks of 3 companies that could benefit in a big way from all the efficiencies AI provides. So let's get started. This is Ticker Take.
John, we've done lots of videos on AI stocks, but it's time for a new phase.
Yeah, we spoke to the investor Jamie Murray, who is still bullish, Caroline, on a lot of the AI stocks that we've talked about. It's just that he sees that new phase, as you mentioned, companies that can now better leverage AI.
Yeah, and before we get to Jamie's 3 stocks, let's better understand his thinking.
Hey, Jamie, thanks very much for joining us on Ticker Take.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, before we get into your stock picks today, we should be clear, you're still pretty bullish on a lot of the main AI names out there like Nvidia and Broadcom, correct?
Yeah, in our global equity growth fund, we hold a broad number of stocks in the AI spectrum, Nvidia and Broadcom being 2 of those key players. We're still seeing revenue estimates for out years move higher and higher, and that just reflects that strong demand for AI servers and equipment that we're seeing.
Okay, now with that said, you are starting to look ahead to companies that could benefit from AI efficiencies, if you will. So before we get into your 3 stock examples for today, what's your analysis? How did you go about picking these companies?
Yeah, well, that's right. So what we're seeing is that AI is going from a testing phase into a production phase across the whole economy. And we're seeing that on Accenture's conference call. They're saying everything now is AI. Any project they're working on, AI is the default in that project. And so we're looking for companies that are going to be best able to leverage AI across large operations. And so you're looking for global players, industry leaders, and companies that have a lot of proprietary data. And we've got 3 great companies I think are going to really be able to leverage it for a lot of profit and gains for shareholders.
All right, with all that said, let's get to Jamie's 3 stocks now. But first, a friendly reminder, this is not financial advice. Stock number 1, Amazon.
Okay, well, Jamie, Amazon's come up a lot on Ticker Take, and it's very clear Wall Street loves this stock. They're also at the center of the AI story, but maybe they're not getting as much love for what they're doing on AI as you might think. Is that kind of the thinking here, or?
Yeah, so Amazon's going to benefit from AI in a number of ways. And the most obvious way that everyone's looking at right now is their AWS, Amazon Web Services division. They're building out these giant AI data centers that companies are leveraging to build their models, doing inference, which is where you actually run the AI models to generate new content, new answers. And so that's kind of the primary way. And they're competing with Microsoft, Google, Oracle's now moving into this. So it's a very crowded space. And there are some questions about how Amazon is going to come through this and if they're going to maintain their leadership. And no, we think they are. We think they're going to benefit from a lot of capacity that they have available that other companies don't. And they're just going to gain market share and pick up market share just by simply having the power and chips available for companies to do this.
And then is there an AI efficiency component just to the rest of their business, like the e-commerce arm?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's where Amazon's underappreciated in the AI trade, is that Amazon is leveraging AI across their entire operations, not just on their retail e-commerce side, on the website, being able to code faster and produce new features. But we think Amazon's going to be a leader in areas like robotics, both in their warehouses, in the delivery, in autonomous vehicles, potentially drone delivery. And that's just going to create a much better margin environment for Amazon moving forward. Now, they have 1.57 million employees, and Amazon has publicly stated that they think they can keep their headcount flat while they continue to grow this giant company over the next 5 to 10 years. And so you're going to see that Amazon's margins, which are much lower than the rest of the AI companies, move up higher and higher over the next decade. And that's the main reason why we like the stock here.
Stock number 2, United Health.
Well, Jamie, United Health is a name that's come up on Ticker Take before. We just haven't really talked about it from an AI perspective. I think the biggest story for them this year was they had a pretty rough ride. Give us your take on United.
Yeah, so like you alluded to, United had a pretty tough first half of the year. Medical costs, inflation was soaring out of control. They mispriced some of their contracts. And then being this large U.S. healthcare company, they always have a little bit of scrutiny from Competition Bureau, DOJ on some of their practices. And so there's a lot of overhangs that were hitting the stock in the first half of the year. And now we see those mostly reversing as we move into 2026 and 2027. So we think what were headwinds are going to become tailwinds for the story. But like you said, this is all about AI for us going forward.
Okay, well, explain the AI story. Like, how can they benefit from AI?
Yeah, so I mean, AI at its core is really just great about picking up patterns, finding more efficient ways to do repetitive administrative-like tasks. And the U.S. health system, and United Health particularly, is full of these type of operations. And so being the largest U.S. health insurance company in the market, they can leverage every tool they build. They can leverage over a bigger number of users, a bigger number of transactions, a bigger number of healthcare providers. And so really, we just see them as the best positioned. And they're already using AI across most of their operations. And as it gets better and better, as Nvidia and Broadcom put out these new chips, the models improve, that's going to lead to even more efficiencies for United Health. And so this is, again, a very low margin company. Margins are just around 1%, 2%, 3%. And every time you can take out costs, that translates into higher and higher profit growth.
And stock number 3, New Holdings.
Okay, I guess we could sort of talk a little bit fintechy. A stock that's actually done very well in 2025. It was a standout name, but you're pretty optimistic on the business. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so New Holdings is one of the largest fintech digital banking companies in the world. They really dominate the Brazilian market. They moved into Mexico and Colombia and are taking a lot of market share there. I think they have over 130 million users across those 3 countries. It's a great, well-run company, and they're just starting to now expand into more markets, like the United States is one where they're looking at. And then I think they'll pick up some more countries down in South America in the next couple of years.
And then the AI connection would be just they can scale faster, or how does that work?
Exactly. They can scale faster. They can do it at a much lower cost. News cost to serve a customer is just about 80 to 90 cents per month. And from that, they generate, 13 to 14, and this is all US dollars per month from that customer base.
Wow.
So it's very profitable once they bring on a customer. And AI is just going to allow them to accelerate this. And one of the more interesting ways, I think, is if you look at the stablecoin market, not quite AI, but New's probably the best positioned company to actually leverage stablecoins, because the big benefit of stablecoins is moving money internationally. And so as New expands into more and more countries, being a digital first bank, they're going to be able to say their US clients can send money back to family members in Mexico or Brazil at a much, much lower cost than the traditional banking. So that's just one way that New can leverage these new technologies to grow.
All right. Some interesting names to watch. Jamie, great to see you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right. Our thanks to Jamie Murray for highlighting 3 stocks that could benefit from the AI boom. You can learn more about Jamie in our description.
Where you can also learn more about Ticker Take, from the podcast edition of the show to our free investing newsletter.
And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next investing video.
See you next time.